Could Satou Sabally join Caitlin Clark on the Indiana Fever? This could be the biggest WNBA story of the offseason, and the digital clues Sabally has been leaving suggest it's more than just speculation. Recently, the Indiana Fever said goodbye to Temi Fagbenle, one of their key players early in the season. While this may seem like a typical off-season move, it could be setting the stage for something massive. Satou Sabally, the Dallas Wings all-star forward, has made it clear she's a free agent and has been subtly hinting at her interest in joining the Fever. From strategically liking social media posts to engaging with content about teaming up with Caitlin Clark, Sabally's actions are speaking volumes.
So she's come out and said she's a free agent, and then Overtime said Satou teaming up with Caitlin, kinda here for that narrative.
On Instagram, Sabally has been particularly active. After announcing her free agency, she began liking posts about the Fever and their potential super team with Caitlin Clark. What's notable is her complete lack of engagement with posts from fans of other teams, including vocal Chicago Sky supporters. This is calculated. Sabally has even liked fan-created graphics showing her in a Fever jersey, something rare in a league where players typically avoid tampering speculation. This isn't just random behavior. The timing and pattern of her activities suggest intent. After the college season began and Caitlin Clark started dominating headlines, Sabally's engagement with Indiana-related content escalated. It's clear she's intrigued by what the Fever are building. Why does this matter? The Fever are at a pivotal moment. They have Aaliyah Boston, who had a historic season, and of course, we all know what Caitlin Clark has been up to. But they still need a veteran superstar to complete the picture. Sabally, at 6 feet 4 inches with guard-like skills, could be the missing piece. Last season, Sabally averaged nearly 19 points and 8.5 rebounds per game. She's a versatile forward who can stretch the floor, defend multiple positions, and dominate in the paint. Pairing her with Boston and Clark would create a lineup that's not just competitive, but potentially dominant for years. And let's not forget Kelsey Mitchell, a proven scorer who would thrive with defenses unable to focus solely on her. But how could the Fever actually get Sabally? The Wings could use the core designation to retain her rights, similar to the franchise tag in other sports. However, history shows that forcing players to stay often backfires. Elena Delle Donne and Diana Taurasi both pushed their way to preferred destinations despite being cored. A sign and trade deal might be the best solution for all parties. A likely trade package could include Nalissa Smith, the 8th pick in the upcoming draft, and a future first-round pick. Smith is a promising young forward with significant upside, and the draft pick would allow Dallas to add more young talent. For the Fever, giving up these assets is worth it to secure a proven superstar like Sabally. This potential move isn't just about the Fever, it's about the league. With super teams already established in New York and Las Vegas, the WNBA needs another team to balance the competitive landscape. Adding Sabally to a young core led by Boston and Clark could make Indiana that team. It would also shift the narrative around Indiana as a free agent destination, turning them into one of the most exciting franchises in the league. The timing is perfect for both Sabally and the Fever. At 25 years old, Sabally is entering her prime. The Fever have cap space to offer a max contract without compromising their roster, thanks to their young core still being on rookie deals. Bringing in Sabally would solidify their transformation from a rebuilding team to a legitimate contender. This move could also have a ripple effect beyond basketball. The Fever would instantly become one of the most marketable teams in the league, drawing attention to a smaller market and contributing to the WNBA's growth. Sabally joining forces with Clark and Boston wouldn't just create a team, it would create a dynasty capable of dominating the league for years to come. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are 2 things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after and during a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market.
This Nike billboard honors the all-time NCAA Division I scoring leader. I love that.
Nike has finally reached out to Caitlin Clark with a substantial apology, signaling a strategic move that goes far beyond merely adding a banner or placing a prominent advertisement in an arena. For months, fans have been left wondering why Nike, the world's leading sports brand, remained silent about its most promising young star. Their prolonged silence was nothing short of deafening. With Adidas now stepping in with a lucrative offer, Nike appears to be urgently addressing the situation to secure Clark's allegiance. The pressing question is whether Nike's apology is heartfelt or simply a reactive measure to prevent losing Clark to a competitor. This unfolding drama not only highlights the fierce competition within the sports apparel industry, but also sets the stage for Clark's potential dominance in the WNBA.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world?
Caitlin Clark, women's basketball's breakout star, had an extraordinary season. She propelled her team to new heights, shattered multiple records, and captivated audiences with her electrifying play style, establishing herself not just as a player, but as a true game changer. With Nike securing her with a substantial contract, expectations soared that her first playoff game would become the most watched WNBA playoff event since 2000, potentially drawing 1.84 million viewers. However, reality fell short of these lofty expectations.
And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark.
For months, Nike did little to promote Caitlin Clark. There were no major shoe releases, campaigns, or significant advertisements, leaving fans puzzled by the brand's silence. This was starkly different from Nike's robust support when LeBron James entered the NBA, complete with signature shoes and nationwide billboards. Meanwhile, Adidas seized the opportunity. Rumors emerged that Adidas was ready to offer Clark a $30 million deal, positioning her as the face of women's basketball, much like LeBron for men's. Adidas wasn't willing to let Nike's oversight continue without capitalizing on Clark's rising prominence. So, what happened next? After months of neglect, Nike finally acted by displaying a massive banner of Clark at the Indiana Fever Arena. This grand gesture seemed less like a celebration and more like damage control to prevent her from moving to Adidas. Fans doubted its sincerity, viewing it as a reactive measure rather than genuine support. Nike had ample time to promote Clark, but waited until Adidas showed interest, appearing to panic at the threat of losing her. Clark didn't passively accept Nike's sudden attention. She attended Nike's event, and delivered a powerful speech about the future of women's basketball, emphasizing the sport's growth, increasing viewership, and the importance of national television coverage. Her upcoming signature shoe, modeled after Kobe Bryant's legendary line, signifies more than personal achievement. It represents Nike's attempt to finally invest in women's basketball. However, the delay has left fans skeptical about Nike's true intentions. Nike has a history of prioritizing male athletes over female counterparts, evident in their treatment of LeBron James and Kevin Durant compared to Serena Williams or Diana Taurasi. If Clark were a man, Nike would have undoubtedly invested in her from the start. This disparity suggests Nike was more concerned about losing a lucrative partnership than genuinely supporting her. Although Nike's recent actions are a step forward, they seem too little, too late. Adidas has already established itself as a brand that truly supports women's sports, making a substantial investment in Clark. The battle now hinges on whether Nike can regain Clark's trust or if Adidas will secure her allegiance permanently. Let's not forget other major brands like Under Armour and Puma are after her as well. Some fans would also love to see Clark release her own sporting goods brands. Clark is not just a phenomenal player, but a trailblazer advocating for the growth of women's basketball. Her influence extends beyond the court, inspiring young girls and pushing for greater investment and recognition of the sport. Signature shoes symbolize an athlete's star power and the brand's commitment. LeBron James's signature shoe marked Nike's full investment in him, and Clark's shoe has the potential to do the same for women's basketball. However, Nike's delay has allowed Adidas to gain an advantage, positioning themselves as the true supporters of the sport. This conflict between Nike and Adidas highlights a broader shift in the sportswear industry's approach to women's sports. Historically overlooked, women's basketball is now recognized as a significant and profitable market, thanks to athletes like Clark. Whether Nike's apology is sincere or merely strategic, it indicates a changing landscape where supporting female athletes is becoming essential. Caitlin Clark is more than a basketball player. She is reshaping the game both on and off the court. Her decision to stay with Nike or move to Adidas will have profound implications for the future of women's sports. Brands are finally recognizing her immense value, and their support will influence the trajectory of women's basketball.
Angel Reese was older. I would have gotten on her about what she just said. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be?
The WNBA is absolutely losing it. On the latest comedy special, Angel Reese declared her intention to dethrone Caitlin Clark, as if the enduring superstar could be unseated by someone who's been busy feigning injuries and shedding tears over on-screen theatrics. And let's not overlook her complaints about her salary being substandard. Angel has officially branded herself.
Angel Reese is a wonderful player, but she does not compare to what and who Caitlin Clark is when she's on the basketball floor. Plain and simple.
It's truly ridiculous that she believes she can outshine Clark, the athlete who consistently makes history each season. Reese has only perfected the art of self-deprecation, but who knows? Maybe she's earning accolades for being pitiable. Before Reese starts talking about taking over the WNBA, she might want to reassess her reputation first. Switching coaches won't make her the standout. She needs to adjust her attitude first.
And look, Angel Reese, there's nothing that she does where you go, did you see her?
Angel Reese appears convinced that partnering with David Alexander, LeBron James's trainer, will catapult her into women's basketball stardom. Indeed, collaborating with one of the top trainers globally might make her seem nearly unbeatable and poised to unseat Caitlin Clark. However, while Reese is busy refining her general movement patterns, Caitlin Clark is actively enhancing her shooting and playmaking, key aspects that define the best players on the court. Best of luck, Angel. Clark is sharpening the skills that have already left you behind as you continue your current efforts. Reese might have enjoyed her time at LSU, but equating her level with Clark's is like claiming you'll drop a hit album after singing in the shower for 5 minutes. That's not competitive, it's sheer delusion. While Clark reigns supreme in basketball overall, Reese may have been LSU's standout. But Caitlin is out there transforming the entire game. Reese boasts about overtaking Clark. However, I'd love to hear more about how you intend to dethrone a legend before you've even started making your mark professionally.
Come on, that's the most we've ever lost in our life. I only lost 7 games in my last 2 years at LSU. So, it's been hard for me. But adjusting and just kind of have that mindset of, just moving on has been something I try to give myself a little bit of grace.
Let's rewind to the 2023 NCAA Championship. Remember that scene? Reese was desperately trying to steal Clark's spotlight with a childish taunt, flashing the "you can't see me" gesture right back at Clark. Oh, that was certainly a moment, but for all the wrong reasons. While Reese was busy playing WWE with her hand movements, Clark was out there effortlessly outscoring everyone, including Reese. Angel's bold move was a weak attempt to make herself relevant by trying to steal the show for just 5 seconds. Reese was merely acting to grab attention. This isn't the case.
There is no one like Caitlin Clark in the history of the WNBA.
Speaking of numbers, let's consider Reese's WNBA debut. It was underwhelming at best. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is setting the league on fire, averaging 19.2 points per game and dishing out assists like she's been playing professionally for years. In comparison, Reese is putting up 13.6 points per game, which is almost 6 points shy of Clark's tally, in case anyone was unaware. And let's not overlook that Clark topped all rookies with 8.4 assists per game. So, what was Reese up to? She was still mastering consistent shooting, though she certainly gave it her best effort. Moving on to the Rookie of the Year race, Reese only reached the finals, which now feels more like a participation ribbon. Clark didn't just win, she entered the league with a clear intention to dominate, and now Reese is struggling to keep pace. Clark secured that award effortlessly. It wasn't even a contest.
But they still ask you about Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
What is your stance on that?
So my whole thing was when I got drafted, number 7. So I'm like, cool. The pressure is not even on me because I'm drafted 7, so the pressure shouldn't even be up there. So I'm like, all right, cool. I could just hoop. So I don't know when it started to just break out where I was just in Rookie of the Year conversations. I'm like, all right, cool.
It's because you started killing it.
Well,
And
yeah.
they're like,
Reese's off-court life has truly become a spectacle. She secured a shoe deal with Reebok, which is quite a feat for someone who hasn't yet proven she can consistently perform at the highest level. Let's give her that. Meanwhile, Clark is out there revolutionizing the game with every move she makes. Reese is busy showcasing her lifestyle on Instagram, which is nice and all, but if you think that will help you surpass Clark, then good luck. If I were in her place, I'd focus more on basketball instead of counting the number of likes on your posts. In summary, while Angel Reese may be garnering attention with her off-court ventures and endorsement deals, Caitlin Clark stands out as the true powerhouse in women's basketball. Clark's unwavering dedication to refining her skills, combined with her impressive on-court statistics and game-changing plays, solidifies her position as a league leader. As the WNBA progresses, it's evident that Caitlin Clark is not only setting new standards, but also shaping the future of the sport. Meanwhile, Reese's focus on lifestyle branding and inconsistent performance leaves her trailing behind, highlighting the clear distinction between fleeting fame and sustained excellence in the world of basketball.
Today, she has released, well, she's not released, it has been announced that her shoe is going to be dropped this week, and we can see what it looks like.
Nike's decision has ignited widespread outrage, with fans left questioning the company's priorities.
So, Paige Bueckers is arguably the best player in college basketball right now. She's had a really good start to the season, and again, she's a 23-year-old dominating against 18-year-olds. She should be.
While Paige Bueckers makes history as the first college athlete with a Nike sneaker, Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the most electrifying players in women's basketball, remains notably absent from the spotlight.
So Nike's first Paige Bueckers shoe drops this week. So Caitlin Clark has not had a shoe. By the way, she's had nothing. She's had nothing except the Rookie of the Year top.
How did Nike miss the mark with their biggest star? Was this a calculated strategy or an outright blunder? This is the story of how Nike's latest move has divided fans and ignited controversy in women's basketball. By unveiling a signature shoe for Paige Bueckers, while seemingly sidelining Caitlin Clark, Nike has sparked shockwaves across the sports world. What should have been a groundbreaking moment for women's basketball has quickly spiraled into a PR crisis, with fans, analysts, and casual observers alike questioning the brand's priorities. The controversy goes beyond the sneaker. It's about how Nike's decision is being interpreted as a glaring snub of Caitlin Clark, a player widely recognized as the face of women's basketball.
Nike signed Bueckers in September 2023, where she frequently wore the GT Hustle 2 on court. She signed several NIL deals. So, Nike signed Caitlin Clark in 2022. Nada. Nike signed Paige Bueckers in 2023. Signature shoe straight away.
Fans are outraged, flooding social media with calls for action, including boycotts of Nike products. How do you ignore Caitlin Clark, the best player in women's basketball? One fan tweeted. Another added, Nike just doesn't get it. Disrespecting Caitlin Clark is unacceptable, and I'm done buying their products. These frustrations are mirrored in fan forums, where debates over Nike's priorities dominate discussions. Some fans are even posting videos of themselves discarding Nike gear, while others are pledging to switch to competitors like Adidas or Under Armour. The backlash is undeniable, and the noise is only getting louder. The irony of this controversy is rooted in Caitlin Clark's undeniable greatness. She doesn't need brands to validate her. Brands need her. At just 22, Clark has transcended college basketball, becoming a household name in sports overall. Her record-breaking performances, exceptional leadership, and ability to draw massive crowds have cemented her status as a superstar. Her jaw-dropping shots and playmaking skills regularly go viral, captivating basketball fans across the globe and proving that her impact speaks for itself.
It's cool. And look, I think it's simultaneously, it's okay to say it's really cool that Paige Bueckers is getting her shoe, but Nike fumbled Caitlin Clark so badly.
The controversy highlights a larger issue with Nike's approach to sports marketing. While Bueckers is undeniably talented and deserving of recognition, many feel that Clark's cultural and athletic impact has reached unprecedented levels. Her performances consistently draw massive audiences, and her highlights frequently go viral, captivating basketball fans worldwide. For a brand as influential as Nike, sidelining such a star feels like a glaring missed opportunity. Nike's decision not to launch a Caitlin Clark signature shoe has also raised concerns about their ability to connect with their audience. Fans argue that Clark's dominance and charisma make her the perfect candidate to lead a campaign that could transcend sports and become a cultural moment. Instead, Nike's move has been widely interpreted as tone-deaf, sparking backlash that continues to grow. This misstep has opened the door for competitors like Adidas and Under Armour to step in and align themselves with Clark, whose marketability continues to soar. A Caitlin Clark signature shoe could not only boost sales, but also send a powerful message about valuing women's sports. If Nike doesn't act quickly, they risk losing one of the brightest stars in basketball to a rival brand. For now, Caitlin Clark's star power shines brighter than ever. She doesn't need a signature shoe to prove her greatness. Her talent and influence speak for themselves. However, for Nike, this situation serves as a wake-up call. The backlash has shown that fans are paying attention, demanding better representation and willing to hold brands accountable. If Nike fails to recognize Clark's value, it risks falling behind in the rapidly evolving landscape of women's sports marketing.
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year, but not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Cheryl Swoops, Aja Wilson, to Nalissa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Cheryl Swoops, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year, yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoops launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoops rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, you just think about athletes of this year.
Yeah.
It's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you can put Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoops' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoops was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Aja Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? I think it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoops' outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, it's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, you know, sometimes, you know, just as athletes, you know, we are competitive by nature. And, you know, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoops, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoops casts doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game, I love playing, I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy, she faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoops herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court. She's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, She's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years, so I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important, and that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth, and I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin, and that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoop's critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoops for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoops could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon. And she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go, and You know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoops, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and Swoops, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point.